Hi, everyone. We're so glad that you are here. As you can see, we're still out on the road. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5. We are somewhere in Georgia, and I'm coming to you live from this is our swing state tour. Georgia, of course, is a battleground state, and we are here to talk to the people and wait till you hear what we are and see what we are hearing. But I have a lot to talk to you about and a bunch, so I want to get to it quickly and then make sure that you are informed. First of all, we have like 14 days left to the election. We probably shouldn't be calling it election day anymore. We should call it election week because we're not going to know who is president. I'm sure last time I think it was 4 or 5 days. This time it may be longer. And so it is expected to be a very close and contentious and probably a contested race. Okay. So with that said, I want to get to our breaking news right now. And the breaking news is that, remember Rudy Giuliani, who was at one point America's mayor after 9/11. Well, my, how things changed after that. He became a Donald Trump acolyte and sycophant, and then a liar and MAGA cult member. And now he is going to jail for Donald Trump's lies, which became his lies about a stolen election in 2020. Rudy Giuliani now has to turn over all of his valuable possessions. A judge ordered him, and his luxurious Manhattan penthouse to 2 election workers who he defamed back in 2021. One of them was Shay Moss, and the other one was Ruby Freeman. He was ordered to pay, I think, I think it was 14.8 or 148 million dollars to them. Okay, so here is the breaking news from our friends over at MSNBC.
Workers Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss will now control Rudy Giuliani's assets, including his New York City apartment, thanks to a new ruling from a federal judge. Joining us now, MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. These are the 2 election workers back from 2020 that Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani targeted, saying that they were passing a key fob back and forth with votes.
That's correct. And what it turned out to be, of course, as we know now, is a gingerment. And that's in part why Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Shay Moss, won $148 million in a defamation case that was tried to a verdict in the District of Columbia last year.
And so why are they now getting his apartment, Rudy Giuliani's apartment?
Well, if a person who is a judgment creditor, so to speak, as these 2 women are, needs assets to satisfy a judgment, and the person that was the defendant held liable isn't turning it over to them, one of the things that they can do is ask a judge to order the transfer of assets to be put into receivership for them. So they have used a provision of New York law to ask Judge Louis Lyman of the federal court here in Manhattan to transfer a number of Rudy's personal and real properties to them. That includes his New York City apartment, as you noted, but also includes a list of watches, sports memorabilia, even a signed Joe DiMaggio jersey, Katie.
Oh, a sign. That's interesting. Can he appeal this? Can he try to keep his stuff?
Okay, so that is the legal thing. But here's the interesting thing. It's just to see the sort of transformation of Rudy Giuliani is fascinating, should be fascinating to everyone. And also remember this, Rudy Giuliani has nothing, right? He's filed for bankruptcy. He has no possessions, right? Pretty much, right? No valuable possessions. Donald Trump is running around the country, running for president, flying around on his personal jet, living on the ocean, in one of the most exclusive, beautiful beaches in the world. And also with a penthouse in the sky in Manhattan, with a building with his name on it. But Rudy Giuliani, who was once the respected mayor of New York City, is now broke because of lies. There is no doubt that the MAGA Republicans, of course, led by Donald Trump, will try to seize upon just how close this race is and all of the chaos. There's going to be chaos because they're going to make it that way. And they're going to try to claim it was a fraudulent election. The question is, could it end up inciting something similar to January 6th? That's a big question. We have the perfect guest to talk about that. Jon Long is a producer and director of a brand new film, Fight Like Hell, which seeks to tell the untold story of January 6th, the insurrection and Stop the Steal movement that spawned it with original, never before seen footage. Jon, thank you very much. And might I add, Steve Bannon also went to jail, right, for defying a subpoena to testify in front of Congress. He ended up going to jail. Again, Donald Trump is out of jail. Steve Bannon will be out in time for the election, and so we'll see what kind of chaos he stirs up. But what do you make of the timing of all of this before we talk about your film and the ramifications of it? What do you make of the timing here, and of Rudy Giuliani of being, having to turn over his assets?
Well, I mean, these things there's so much stuff unfolding every single day that it's almost too much to keep up with. I mean, that case has been going for a long time. As we know, the Jack Smith case has been delayed and, definitely past the election, past the inauguration, and it may never happen. So it's just a flood of legal activity that constantly comes at us, and it's changing every day. But one thing is for sure, is that if Kamala wins the election, the Stop the Steal efforts are much more organized than they were in 2020. This time more around election officials in swing states, people who are in charge of elections. So it's a much different story than what unfolded in 2020 that we show in the film, but it's happening at a much more organized and bigger level now.
Do you actually think that this time the election can really be stolen, and it will be stolen from the American people by Donald Trump?
I have no idea. I mean, I think there's a risk that there is going to be a lot of turmoil and fighting in the courts, and who knows, maybe in the world about that. And
are you afraid of violence, of like January 6th? Is that what inspired you to write this? I mean, to produce this?
Well, in the film I made, I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, very few people, if any, knew that was going to break out the way it did. But I think that the potential for violence this time is exponentially bigger than it was in 2020. But it's not going to be like a January 6th attack on the Capitol. That'll never happen again. They're going to be prepared. Like on January 6th, there was not enough police officers and Capitol Police there. And the inauguration, which was 2 weeks later, was just packed with National Guard. So that's not going to happen again. This time it's going to happen remotely in election zones, and it's going to look much different than it did, but it will not be an attack on the Capitol, in my opinion.
The film is called Fight Like Hell. This is a trailer. Let's watch.
This is not an election between Republicans and Democrats. This is an epic struggle for the future of this country between dark and light. We will win this fight, or America would step off into 1,000 years of darkness.
We're going to protect this president by stopping the steal. Stop the steal! Stop the steal!
When I went to bed on election night, he was ahead.
The system is a lie. The ballot counting's a lie.
It's called democracy. You count every single vote.
We did not have a free, fair, and transparent vote.
Joe Biden will be removed one way or another.
1776 commenced tonight!
We are at war.
Spiritual war for the soul of this country!
The situation we're in is a situation of treason. The punishment for treason is death.
The president watches these rallies, and he's watching you today.
Warning you guys now.
You can't stop it. It's coming tomorrow.
What makes America great?
The United States Constitution is different from every other country in the world.
Are you willing to do what it takes? Will you fight for America?
This election was stolen. The president is willing to stake his reputation that we're going to find criminality there.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We must stop the steal, and we fight. We fight like hell. If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
You don't feel like hell. You're not going to have a country anymore. And it's interesting. Some of the folks who are in there saying it's America's different because we have a constitution, when clearly they were not abiding by that constitution as they were standing out on that mall. And many of them, not all of them, but many of them, then breaking into the Capitol and desecrating the Capitol. I hate to say it, but defecating on the walls, urinating in the Capitol, stealing, and destructing property. It's interesting to me because there's no narration in here, and I don't think you really need it. It just it sort of explains itself, John.
Yeah, well, we chose to create this in a different way, rather than have a narrator tell you a story or do a bunch of interviews after the fact and use that to tell the story. This film unfolds chronologically. So it starts the day before the election, November 2nd, 2020, and it ends on January 7th. And so there is a very cohesive narrative, a beginning, middle, and end, and a transformation at the end. But it happens on the ground, in the place, in the moment, as it's happening, as opposed to after the fact. So I think it's a very powerful and compelling way to tell the story. And it's mainly Republicans and Trump supporters the whole way through. So it's really just a reflection. It's not points and counterpoints. It's just like you're there with them, walking with them. It's an immersive and a visceral experience. So we wanted to try to tell the story that way, to try and widen the audience as well. Because if you tell it from a left or a right point of view, rather than just an honest, truthful, observational point of view, you limit your audience. So we wanted to just show people what happened and try to keep it open as an empathetic approach as well.
Well, you said it starts from November after the election, correct? Up until January 7th. This is December. I want to play a clip. This is from December, when I think it was sort of prescient, right? What was going to happen on January 6th. And I think the first indications, correct me if I'm wrong, of these right-wing extremists like Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones, etc., at this particular rally. Watch this.
What is happening right now is a spiritual war for the soul of this country. It is a spiritual war between Satan and evil and between us, the children of Jesus Christ. This is a Christian nation, and the Christians in this country demand that we have Christian leaders governing this country. And we will no longer accept any less. From now on, I identify not as a Republican. I identify as a Trump supporter.
Alex Jones is it?
Praise God, America is awakening. Humanity is awakening. And Jesus Christ is King. So I don't know who's going to the White House in 38 days, but I sure know this. Joe Biden is a globalist, and Joe Biden will be removed one way or another.
Thank God for Congressman Mo Brooks. He has said that he will object to the House certification on January 6th. And we need some of his colleagues to join him, don't we? We will shut this country down. We believe in some good trouble, right? Yeah. Maybe some Make America Great Again trouble, right?
1776!
So the funny that they mentioned good trouble, because that's a John Lewis saying, right? Who was John Lewis, who was, the ultimate civil rights hero and legend. Do you believe that this was the beginning of the planning of January 6th here with folks like Roger Stone, Alex Jones, Steve Bannon, Nick Fuentes?
Yeah, well, it happened. Roger Stone coined the phrase "stop the steal." And then in 2020, he sort of passed the torch over to the lead organizer, Ali Alexander. And Ali Alexander worked closely or communicated closely and was, on stage and at rallies a lot with Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. Other characters that would be there were Michael Flynn. And so this was, sort of the roots of that. And they were like the biggest voices getting people to these rallies. So that was the second Million MAGA March in DC, riling, the troops up, and everybody was there to contest a stolen election that some of these bigger voices like Alex Jones were able to amplify through their huge networks.
Now, I imagine between January 6th and this December rally that you're showing, that there were, what do you believe that was other planning? Were there additional rallies between then? Was there additional planning?
No, there was no rallies. The next rally was the January 6th. So Trump, that rally was December 12th. And then Trump tweeted on December 19th, get to DC on January 6th. It will be wild.
Okay, so I just want to show you this because this is January 5th. This is the night before, which is in your film. Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
All hell is going to break loose tomorrow. It's not going to happen like you think it's going to happen. Okay, it's going to be quite extraordinarily different. And all I can say is strap in. You have made this happen, and tomorrow it's game day.
Your bloodlust can matter anywhere else.
Move back! Back up! Back him up! Back him up! Move! Use your bicycle! Use your bicycle!
Bro! Watch this! Motherfucking bitches! Fuck you! They maced me, dog! Are you retards? I think you are retarded because you're defending people who defund you. You retards. You fucking retards. You're so stupid. Let us occupy the street. Yeah. You guys. There's too fucking many of us. Let us go home so you don't get hurt.
John, this is extraordinary seeing this footage. A lot of this is never before seen footage. Do you think, I mean, had I been there just as a layperson, I would have said, hey, something's going to pop off here. All these people have gathered here in Washington. And I feel, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if this had been, immigrants or people of color gathering using that kind of language and a threat of violence, that there would have been more police and law enforcement presence?
I would imagine, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are saying that January 6th was spontaneous. And so when you see what happened on January 5th, it kind of refutes that. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Starting right at, the day after the election, the rhetoric and planning started. And a lot of it was, incendiary rhetoric. So, a lot of that angry violence was kind of baked in. It wasn't a result of a speech at the Ellipse, in my opinion. It wasn't something that just happened. I think that, a lot of people were there who were really ready to attack potentially. Most people weren't, of course.
John, can I ask you something? Can I jump in and ask you something? Yeah. If you have, let's see, Rudy Giuliani, who was in constant contact with Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, who was in contact with Donald Trump, Roger Stone. I don't know about Alex Jones, but I know Nick Fuentes was at Mar-a-Lago. Do you think that Donald Trump had any indication as to what these folks were doing as it related to the election and firing these people up? Not necessarily. I'm not saying that he realized what ended up resulting into January 6th, the insurrection. But do you think Donald Trump was aware of this?
Well, I mean, he's in contact obviously with Rudy Giuliani as his lead lawyer to contest the election results. Roger Stone was his campaign advisor. Michael Flynn was an advisor as well. So these people are connected. As far as the planning behind the scenes, I don't know, those conversations. And the film that I created really just shows what we would see if we were on the ground. So it doesn't, there's a whole movie or a series you could make about what was happening behind the scenes with lawyers. But he was obviously aware of the Stop the Steal protests. He was endorsing the movement Stop the Steal. But as far as the violent planning, we know that there was the War Room in the Willard Hotel in DC, where that's where Stone and Giuliani and Bannon and others, Chesman, I believe, were. And what was happening in that room, that's the question. That's the fly on the wall that has never emerged. But that's where that's at. We saw what happened the next day.
And let's not forget of all the sort of white supremacists and white nationalists, neo-Nazi groups that were involved, some of them with obviously a history of violence. The Proud Boys is in the movie, featured very heavily in the movie. Here it is. Let's watch it.
The whole group right here, turn around, take some photos of the Capitol. All the way up to the wall, guys.
Can we pause this for a second, please? John, is this the morning of?
This is happening while Donald Trump is giving his speech at the Ellipse. So the Proud Boys had congregated on the National Mall. Our camera crews couldn't get into the Ellipse because of the metal detection. So we went over to the National Mall, and there was a couple hundred Proud Boys there. So we were actually filming with them for an hour and a half, and they reached the Capitol steps. They breached the Capitol with thousands, maybe 10,000 Trump supporters while Trump was still speaking at the Ellipse. And then when he finished his speech at the Ellipse, the massive crowd that was there made their way down Pennsylvania Avenue. So this was happening all over the place. It wasn't a result of a speech here or a speech there. This was something that was months in the making, maybe not the violence, but in terms of just mobilizing people to get there to try to dissuade lawmakers from certifying the election.
Okay, so let's keep going because again, this is a morning of as Donald Trump is speaking.
We're going this way. You can adjust accordingly. We're turning right. Right side, slow down. Left side, speed up. Right side, slow down. Left side, speed up. If you can use the sidewalk, please. Right side.
This is where everything's going to. This is where everybody's going to. It's going to unfold right here.
This is where everything's going to unfold. And then Donald Trump finishes speaking. They have gathered along the mall near the Capitol, along the grounds near the Capitol. And then we have the actual break-in. Here it is. Wow. And then we know what happened after that. So you've heard recently, John, Donald Trump saying that this was a day of love and calling these people patriots and heroes. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it was a day of love for him. The love he was feeling that he's talking about is all of those supporters who believe the election was stolen and believe what he says. So he felt a lot of love. I think other people would look at it as it's not love for the country. I mean, at the end of that day, that's not a conclusion that you would come to. But I think when he says that, he's talking about the love that they showed for him. You see all the Trump signs and flags everywhere. So that's what he's talking about.
So in the comments, John, there's someone, Mayom, who says, can you ask John, how was he able to obtain this footage? Was it a combat photographer? Were they on the side of MAGA, or were they just blending in?
So my cinematographer, one of my cinematographers was an Army combat cinematographer. I worked with him prior on campaigns. I've done a few campaigns for the U.S. Marines, and I was working with him on a Teach for America education film. So luckily for him, lucky for me, I hired him to film there because he's an amazing cinematographer with like state-of-the-art gear that you would film a national TV spot or a Hollywood movie with. So that's why we were able to get those images. And yeah, we're just independent filmmakers. So we don't look different than anybody else who was there. And we're just blending in and there for the same reason as them, just to be there to witness this cultural moment and capture
I
it.
started by asking, like, I would hope that would not happen again. But I fear that it might if the election doesn't go the way MAGA and Donald Trump wants it. There are going to be a lot of look. Let's be honest. Most of the people who were at that rally were men, right? And there were some women there, and there were some women who were arrested, but most of them were men, and most of them are these sort of white guys and angry and racist. Not everybody, and that is a big portion of the folks or the demographic that Donald Trump is actually trying to get on his side right now. He's forgotten about women pretty much, but he wants these guys who are sort of angry, disenfranchised society, and nobody's paying attention to them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's the contingent that is supporting him. Whether those people are violent or not, I have no idea. But I think what's about to happen if Kamala wins the election is there is going to be contesting of the results. That's been planned for a long time, and it's on a much bigger scale. And as far as the violence that could break out behind the scenes, I mean, you hear a lot of rhetoric around that for sure.
What's your advice to people having witnessed this?
Well, I mean, I made the film as a reflection of a cultural moment and hoping that people can, when you see that, what happened actually at the end of the day on January 6th is there was a transformation where people did come together and said, this is un-American. We can never let this happen again. Political violence is unacceptable. So you have Sean Spicer, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Kevin McCarthy all saying that. And then, 1-2 days later, things start to change. Kevin McCarthy goes to Mar-a-Lago. Lindsey Graham changes his tune at the airport the next day. And it's back to, being divided again. But there wasn't a moment in time where people did come together for a few hours on the evening of January 6th. And I hope when people see this film, we can get to that spot and try to stay there and realize that violence is not acceptable.
Well, I got to tell you, you did an amazing job with this, and I want everybody to be able to see this, John. John, where can we find this?
So it's you can see it for free on YouTube. You can just go to fightlikeHellmovie.com, and that'll give you the link to the show. So we wanted to get it out there, as many people to see it as possible between now and the inauguration, and help people reflect and just inform them about what happened on the ground in a way that, things that they haven't seen before. I think all of this organization of the Stop the Steal movement and all the players involved, there's a lot of storytelling in here that wasn't really brought out much in the mainstream media. And I think people can learn a lot from watching this. And it's entertaining. It's like a horror story, but it's entertaining.
Yeah. Well, Jon Long, thank you so much. It's called, the film is called, he's a director of the brand new film called Fight Like Hell, which seeks to tell the untold story of January 6th, the insurrection and the Stop the Steal movement that spawned it, with original, never before seen footage. Jon, thank you so much. Best of luck to you. We appreciate you coming on, and we hope that you come back.
Awesome. Thank you.
And as
so
you can
much.
see, we're on the road, by the way, Jon. I'm going across battleground states. I'm sure the producers told you, and that's what we're doing. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I see you guys are in the comments in the chat saying, good job, Jon. It is really, he did a great job with that. As you guys know, we are going around. I just want to show you a little bit of what we're doing just quickly here, because we're seeing a lot. But first, I just want to respond to to this thing. I want to show, this is Donald Trump working at McDonald's. We want to talk about that.
Everybody. Indy is here. This is Indy. She has an apron for you.
And good job on your first day.
I think I should take
President Trump.
Should I take off my jacket? I think so. The press wants to see this. Oh, he's a wealthy guy. He owns a lot of McDonald's. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, you guys have seen the whole thing, right? He gets dressed up in the garb, and I mean, he kind of does look right there. He kind of does look like, I said Ronald McDonald. Some people said the Hamburglar, but I think it's kind of a Ronald McDonald character, and I actually said that on social media, and it appears Tim Walz may have stolen my line. I will show you Tim Walz in just a moment, but I want to show you this because we've talked about it. Whether the McDonald's was receiving some backlash, they put out a statement saying they don't support any candidate, and then the restaurants are open. They don't usually do that. Blah 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 blah. Okay, and so then, as we have come to find out from a number of different sources, that this was all staged. They shut the place down, and apparently they had rehearsals and Donald Trump supporters coming in to help. This is from our friends over at the Mighty Midas Hutch, and here is Ben Meiselas. Watch this report.
Covered was that this specific McDonald's was actually closed for the day, that Donald Trump and his team made rehearsals with respect to the PR stunt. It was shut down, the McDonald's. They did rehearsals before it took place. They brought in all of their MAGA supporters to pretend that they were actual customers at this McDonald's, which was closed down. We also identified that this specific McDonald's is actually owned by a franchise owner who has fought against raising the minimum wage to a living wage, and the franchise owners, McDonald's, have been subject to many protests for people regarding their work conditions.
So there you go. There's always something to it, especially when it comes to the Trump folks and the MAGA people. And I don't know, guys. I mean, look, all these sort of MAGA, you wouldn't believe sort of the MAGA secret supporters who don't want people to know. Then they get busted and they try to distance themselves from it. I don't know if what's going on with that McDonald's, but I think it's the owner of that McDonald's, of that particular franchise. So I think there will be more fallout from this. I have to say, if you are on social media and if you're looking at just media in general, this has been one of the most shared images and shared stories. So whether or not you think he looked like, the clown that is, the clownish figure that is Ronald McDonald, even if you think he looked like a clown, it resonated. Tim Walz spoke about it, and also I think, as I said, probably borrowed, but I mean, who knows? My Ronald McDonald analogy, here it is.
He missed an opportunity, though. Being at McDonald's, he looks much more like Ronald McDonald than the clown that he actually is. Tell me you don't see this one coming from a mile away. And Ronald wears less makeup. You saw it coming. You saw it coming. That restaurant wasn't even open. It was a stunt.
Look, I think it...
Fake orders for fake customers. They even staged the drive-thru. We know that. They won't let you walk through the damn drive-thru. We knew that. They saw that happening. But look, everything about this guy is fake. Everything he does is fake. Next, he's going to be telling you he's a cop or a construction worker. Because he dances to the village people, so he knows the YMCA. And I'll tell you this, though, that 5 minutes he stood next to the deep fryer, I'll guarantee you that's the hardest that guy's ever worked in his life. And that's not a joke.
So Tim Walz out on the campaign trail. Now, here's some of the things that we have been seeing, okay? Our last stop was latest stop Daytona Beach, and there are folks there who a lot of them who buy into this rhetoric and also buy into the idea, which is not true, that the economy was better under Donald Trump because he says so, and that he was better for the country because he says so. I'm just going to play a couple of it again. Don't get mad at me, folks, but I'm just telling you what we're seeing, and I'm showing you what's happening out as we go across Florida, Georgia, and then on up back to New York. This is in Daytona Beach. Watch.
Here in Daytona Beach, and like many places in America, they're kind of struggling. We want to talk to people about Daytona Beach. If they think the economy's good here, is it getting better? What are they thinking about the election? I do this audit. You know, I mean, with son on Trump. What's your reasons for voting for President Trump?
Kind of put me on the spot. I think we get another 4 years what we've had. I think I just don't think it'll be good for us. I mean, girlfriend, she's a Democrat.
So you're a split family, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, let's go. I want to talk to her.
I'm just Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, always have been.
She doesn't know a lot about politics.
Have you already decided?
President Trump, just he gets things done. He closed the border, worked with Mexico to help keep the immigrants from entering the country. He did a good job with ISIS.
Oh, he's great. I mean, he's already been in there 4 years. We know what he does, and we can trust him.
You're from Europe? Where? Belgium? You're from Belgium. Are you guys paying attention to the election in New York? What do you think?
Oh, I think that Trump for the United States is very good, not for Europe.
Well, what do you mean by that? Well, you can know exactly on everything.
Oh, it's all these restrictions, extra money on the steel going from Europe to the U.S. You know, makes it more difficult for us.
I'm not generalizing it. What do they think of him or her? Well, I'm not going to say that.
He confided in me. He says, I don't want to say that because I want to be allowed to come back into this country again. So they buy into that. The border was not closed, right? And we know that that's false. The border was not closed. There were still people going over the border and coming into the country illegally or trying to escape from the harsh conditions in their country. And, they were asylum seekers coming over the border when Donald Trump was president, working with Mexico. Again, not true. And so a lot of these folks really believe, I'm telling you, they believe everything that this guy says, everything that is, part of the MAGA playbook. This is one gentleman who I spoke to about his whole idea of what he was voting for, he says, is because he wanted to end wokeness. Here it is.
Businessmen get us into this?
I don't think so, no. There's a lot of wokeness in the world, man, and I ain't all about that anymore.
That means you're voting for Kamala Harris?
No, that don't mean that at all. Matter of fact, no. I just don't think she's got the experience, man.
You don't think she has the experience? She's an attorney general. She's a senator. She's the sitting vice president of the United States. She had more experience than Donald Trump when he became president.
You tell me this, all right? We send billions and billions and billions to other countries to fight their wars, but yet we got people in this country that are struggling to eat.
That's true, but we've always done that under every different administration since the beginning of America.
Take that same money, brother. Take the same money and feed our people and do right by our people.
So what if people say, that we have to support some wars in some places because we need it, otherwise we won't be secure in the world?
I cannot argue with that.
Right.
But the solution is not throwing billions and billions and billions and billions of our tax dollars to it. That ain't the solution. If you're going to get in the war, get in it. Yeah. If you ain't, get out.
But then what happens if they come and they invade our country? What do we do?
They won't do that.
You don't think?
Carry a big stick. I know they won't.
Here's the thing, further, a little further along in the interview, which you're going to play a longer version of it, we sort of get into it, and I have to fact check him a lot. Let me just tell you, some of the folks, we don't, I don't fact check them right away because I want them to be able to continue on to say what they want to say because I want to hear it. And if you do it in the moment, then they will shut down and you guys will not be able to hear it. So you have to really sort of manage it. It's tricky to let them talk and then sort of correct them without sort of scolding them, right? But then a little bit later on in the conversation, which we will put up and I'll show it to you here on the YouTube channel as well, is where I talked about, he said, you know, we carry a big stick. And I told him that there was basically no difference between our nuclear weapons and Russia's nuclear weapons and on and on and on. And he said, no, ours are bigger and we can, and I said, that's not necessarily so. Anyways, he didn't get it, but we'll show that to you later. Also, again, this false idea about the economy and other things as we were speaking to people as we were crossing over from Florida to Georgia. Here's a gentleman who is talking about the economy and sort of his false ideas about the economy. Here it is.
Feeling about the election?
I feel all right as long as Trump gets it.
Yeah? Why so?
Because I'd rather have him than anybody else.
Yeah. Tell me why.
Because he was better. The economy was going good with him here. Until they put him out and put Biden in there and he didn't know what he was doing. I think Biden had his head up his hind and didn't know how to get it out.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
I just didn't care nothing about Biden. I thought when Trump was in there, the economy was coming up, was all doing good. Then when they knocked him out and Biden got in there, everything went, it just wasn't doing, it ain't right.
Well, you know, when Biden got in, the economy was tanking, right? Because we were coming out of COVID, or in COVID.
Well, I still believe Trump would have done a whole lot better than Biden in there with COVID.
Well, he was in there with COVID. That's when it went down. The economy went down.
Yeah, I just care about Trump more for president.
So listen, I have so many examples to show you of people who don't really care about facts. You can tell them, you can show them facts on everything and they'll just say, I don't believe that, or I know that that's not true. Even if you give them facts and you show, there's one gentleman that you'll see over the week, a little bit later on in the week, where I actually showed him the evidence on my phone and I played the report and showed him the law and he still didn't believe it. He still didn't believe it. It is a cult-like figure. And then oftentimes I find that it all boils down to, at least when they don't have anywhere else to go with the facts, they just say, well, I believe it becomes God. God and the Ten Commandments and my religion and my Republican values. And I say, what values are those? And they can't really name the value. So again, it's mind-boggling. So on to other things. Let's talk about what we're hearing. There are Vice President Kamala Harris supporters. There's one young lady, we went to this famous grill in Daytona Beach, and we're going to play it for you. And I think this young woman is very smart, and she did know why she's voting for the vice president and what policy she was placing her vote on.
For the election?
I am actually first time voting. Yeah.
Your first time voting?
It's my first time voting, actually.
And?
Oh, it's going for Harris all the way. Harris is who I'm voting for, but this is my first time voting only because marijuana and abortion is on the ballot. Those are my two greatest concerns around here, so that's who I'm voting for.
You know, it's interesting. I talk to some people and they just go, the policies, and they have no idea what policies they're talking about.
Yeah, a lot of times. A lot of times. People don't even know how the American government works, a lot of times. So when they say, oh, Vice President, she should have been doing this, I'm like, what about the other vice presidents who never did nothing? A lot of times they be like, oh, well, why would I vote in our community, in my African-American community? Why would I vote? I'm like, well, because it affects us. Like, marijuana affects us. We get locked up 10 times at a more rate than other people. So having marijuana legalized will give us at least a chance to get ahead.
What do you see the folks who are saying, oh, man, the woman can't be president?
Absolutely false. Look at Mexico. It's absolutely false. So if other countries can do it, why can't America? We're so far behind. I feel like that we need to catch up.
There you go. See what I mean? There are some people who know about policies, who actually had a civics lesson in high school, and it stuck. Another young lady who is that young lady was not a college student, but there's a college student also on campus we spoke to, and she said that she's placing her vote on Project 2025, and because she doesn't believe in those principles. Watch this.
Voter?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. What are the issues? What's the most important issues for you?
I educated myself about the Project 2025 thing from Trump, and I just really don't agree with it. So really, like, anything against that.
Yeah. You don't want those kinds of things happening. No. So who are you supporting?
Kamala.
Yeah. Why?
Because I don't know. She's like, not gonna lie, like both of the options, like, I don't mind them. I mean, I do mind them, but it's like, I don't know. I just rather Kamala out of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you like energized and excited about going to vote?
I am, but it's also scary because it is my first time. So it's like, I do have a chance to like help impact something, and it's like, it's scary because I don't know if I'm making the right decision.
I did find there was a theme, an overwhelming theme here. And again, this is my unscientific surveying. And by the way, guys, we don't curate anything. We don't deceptively edit anything. I just walk up to people and I ask them all very similar, if not the same questions. And so, people think, please show someone who is supportive of Kamala Harris or whatever. And again, I'm not going, if we have 3 Kamala Harris supporters, we have to have 3 Donald Trump supporters. That's really not what we do. I just want to know what people are thinking and how they're feeling, because it gives us, I think, a good gauge on what people are thinking or how people are going to vote and what the outcome of the election might be. I did find an overwhelming theme, though, and that overwhelming theme for me was that the people who were voting for the vice president knew more about the policies they're voting on, the reasons they're voting on them, and they did research. And there were some on the MAGA Trump side, but very few. By overwhelmingly, the people who were voting on the Democratic side for the vice president, they knew that whether it was a woman's right to choose, whether it was Project 2025, whether it was the economy. And also, by the way, there was a comment from the Big Cheese, who said the overwhelming majority of African Americans don't smoke weed. I don't think that's what she meant. What she was saying is that there are an awful lot of people of color, especially black people, black men, who are locked up behind bars for marijuana possession or the use of marijuana. And now there are people out here becoming millionaires off of weed and marijuana dispensaries and growing marijuana, etc. Okay, so to have some justice from that, after they legalized it in many places across the country, they should have just thrown the door open for the people who were in jail. I believe they should have let them out. Depending if they were, selling and that, look, every case individually, but if it was possession of marijuana, if you were using marijuana, and on top of that, if you're using it and you had a certain amount, they added the charge on top of it with an intention to distribute or whatever. And that was just something that got people harsher time. Maybe some folks were trying to distribute it. But many times you hear people saying, they said because I had this more than this amount or whatever that I was going to distribute, and that's what the law said, so that's what they had to charge me on. So someone said, do you smoke, Don? No, I don't smoke marijuana. Not anymore. I have. I'm not opposed to it. So, I mean, it's not like an own to come in the comments and say, do you smoke marijuana? No, but I have smoked marijuana. But I don't really like the way it makes me feel. I like to have a clear mind. And I know, if I have a couple of drinks, I know when I can stop. And I know that I can get a ride home. Okay, guys. So listen, thank you so much. Be careful about, becoming overconfident, and be careful about saying, hey, I don't trust the polls. It is really close. It is really tight. It is really tight. And I think it's better to go to the polls or go into November 5th with some fear about being an underdog or fear of losing, because then that motivates people to go vote. But some of the very people, and you're going to see it when we play our stuff tomorrow, that you would think that would be strongly supporting one candidate because of their ethnicity or because of the way they look, you will be surprised out here on these here streets, as they say, because that's not necessarily always so. And it's a bit surprising to me because they think, hey, Kamala Harris is a black woman, so all black women must be supporting her. That's not true, that we found. Or that Donald Trump is a white man. So all, white guys who live in Georgia and Florida and whatever with beards who look like, the guys who are at the insurrection, that they would be supporting Donald Trump. You would be surprised out here, as I say, in these here streets. Things aren't always as they seem, and you cannot stereotype people. And you cannot just think just because someone looks a certain way, from a certain background, a certain gender, that they're going to support a certain candidate. Nope. That's what we've seen. So make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you go check out our stuff on social media and spread it around to people so they can see it. This is the real stuff that's happening, okay? So I love you. Thank you, Lemonheads. Thanks for helping to build a community. We really appreciate it. Being part of the Lemon Nation. We did find some Lemon Nation folks as well out here, and we'll be playing some of their stuff for you as well. So hit that thumbs up. Make sure you get folks to subscribe. It's free. And make sure you check out our live show at 10 a.m. tomorrow and then again at 5 p.m. So I got to go get more stuff, get more content for you, talk to more people. So I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good one. Bye. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button, too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern, so there's plenty of content for you to check out.